Today, we hunt for gold on the rivers of Laos, a place that just seems to be overflowing with this stuff.
Look, if I make it big, I'm not gonna lie guys, this might be the last episode.
You see, there's some kind of primal excitement that I start to get when hunting for gold, and that excitement today is in full swing. It's remarkable what the rivers here provide for the locals, and yet the intense interest in the riches of the river here raise concerns about its future due to larger mining operations looking to move in.
What's the most amount of gold she's ever got in one day?
Almost close to 15 grams, about 20 million kip.
20 million kip,
Yeah.
it's about $1,000. $1,000 a day,
Yeah.
That's not bad, I'd take that.
We're kicking things off in a small town near Luang Prabang on a small river that feeds into the Mekong. This is the Nam Xuong River. Here, we're meeting with Noi and her village. Together, they form one of the many village mining teams, eking out a living on this stretch of countryside in search of gold. A quick boat ride takes us down to the mining site, ready for action.
Man, this is a pretty spot on some of these Laotian rivers. One day, I would like to take a boat down. Maybe one of those bomb boats, that'd be fun. Already we've seen a few different gold mining operations on the way here. Seems like a very popular thing to do in this section of the river.
Even before we can get the cameras set up, the locals are already finding gold. It might not seem like much, just microscopic dust,
But the consistency with which they are finding it, I think, is the key here. Let's see how much they get.
pan after pan, load after load, this river just keeps on giving. And what's more surprising is the simplicity of the process. The sediment containing gold flakes is not that deep, eliminating the need for deep shafts, compressors, and other hazardous methods that I've encountered in the past. The men in the village dig with shovels until they reach the desired texture. Then, it's simply loaded into a pan. Successful gold panning, I learn, hinges on just the right motion. A mix of shaking to stratify the material by density and gentle washing to remove lighter materials without losing the gold.
It's hard work, I will tell you that.
It's an art and a science. It demands patience, practice, and an eye for the gold's subtle glint among the sediment.
You can hear just from the excitement in their voices whether they've got someone on. Yet another load. I don't know what to say. I think these guys are all going to be rich. I'm definitely changing career. All right, so I'm going to give this a go. I once went on a panning trip, like a school trip when I was maybe 12, I think. I don't remember much. Hopefully this lady's going to show me what to do. She's loaded this up with a fair amount of substrate. Okay, a firm grip, and then just, oh wow, it's like a rocking boat motion. Just side to side. Oh, we're like loosening up the substrate as we go. Splashing in a little bit more water, and then again. Oh man, she's like really firm with it. She's not happy with my form, that's for sure.
Lacking skill or patience, I quickly move on. But the women here are masters. The wooden pans they use have just enough buoyancy and lift that with a twist of the wrist, they're not even doing much work. It's an art that I admire, but definitely not something that I will be pursuing.
It seems like every time they finish one pan of gold, they're getting decent sized chunks at this point of gold.
Impressed by the first location, I venture a little further downstream to see how other villages are faring.
Sabari. So the operation here already looks pretty different.
With the homemade sluice in play, this wooden box, lined with artificial grass, relies on the principle that the dense gold particles will sink into the fabric of the fake grass fibers. And all this will happen while the lighter water and sediment will flow out over the top, and the larger, heavier rocks will simply roll and fall into the water too.
Like we've been here 5 minutes maybe. The first lady that finished her pan, gold. Am I supposed to be this surprised? So it's interesting to me how just the introduction of one additional piece of equipment has changed the process pretty drastically.
I watch on as the villagers shovel large amounts of sediment into the top of the sluice. Periodically, they remove the artificial grass, hammering it above a wooden pan, and then they follow a very similar method to what we've seen before, slowly removing the remaining sediment until only the gold remains. This method they hope is more efficient, allowing them to remove the larger rocks and lighter soil with more ease. Essentially, it pre-processes the sediment.
Instead of panning just one shovel at a time, you're panning 10, 15, 20 shovels. I mean, they really spend a good amount of time on the sluice before transferring it over to the pan.
I'm left wondering why our first village hasn't adopted a similar technique.
อันนั้นคันว่ามันเฮ็ดบ่เฮ็ดมันบ่ได้ทันเจอมีเท่าปั่นเอาติ๊กๆตัวนี้ไวกว่า
This way is more
อันนั้นแบบว่าถอนคำ
faster for them.
Oh wow.
Quickly.
It's like different technique
Yeah,
between
that
different
is
groups.
too many steps. They just here, they just
Quickly,
get in. Yeah, quickly.
many panners,
Yeah.
they get it done more quickly. Huh.
And as the day fades on, our team of villagers unveils pan after pan of consistently discovered gold.
Okay, so this lovely lady has hauled in the biggest pan of today. I see maybe 12 to 15 flakes of gold in one shovelful. That's pretty impressive. Winning. This seems to me like there's a lot of gold here. Do people from the surrounding areas not want to move here and mine gold also?
บ่มีผู้ย้ายมาหรอก
No
Ciao.
one move in. Just nearby the village, they come.
The sheer consistency has resulted in a surprising volume by day's end, or by the time they're ready to wrap up.
So guys, I'm not the most experienced gold hunter in the world, but they have what seems to me to be a pretty large nugget of gold that they found just the other day upriver from this. It is a rather large nugget. They say it's about 5 million keep for this. That ain't a bad return for a day's work, especially in these parts. How long has she lived in this area?
ได้15ปีแล้ว
Okay, she's from another village, Vietnam, so she just been here for 15 years.
ย้อนว่าเฮาเฮ็ดเฮาสร้างนำเขาเจ้าเราไปหันไปนี่นั่นแหละปั่นเงินปั่นคำแนวนี้หั่นแหละ
So many chance, yeah.
Oh wow.
Infrastructure, the thing, more income. So make their living is better than.
Wow, so things have gotten better, not worse. That's good to hear. Usually it's the opposite. What do you do in rainy season?
น้ำขึ้นแล้วก็บ่ได้ปั่น
So rainy season, the water is going to increase. Definitely stop panning the cone. So they will do another farming.
Oh, I see. And what is the hardest part about this job?
เฮาเฮ็ดบ่มีน้ำมีนะแล้วเฮาได้สระน้ำสระอันนั้นน่ะนะ
They have a specific zone to find gold, and sometimes the water is really high, so they have to drain off the water or something to make the areas that really low water.
Right, I see. They've got to get to that specific type of substrate. What do they do with the gold that they get? Where do they sell it?
เอาไปขายเฮอหาหนังแต่หั่นแหละ
Go to the market sell to the gold shop.
And how much are they able to sell it for?
500,000
เจ้า
kip
มาซื้อ
plus 0.3 gram.
Oh, they measure in 0.3. It's 500,000 kip for 0.3.
เอ้ยบ่มาขายเพิ่นเราเอ้ยโทรอันไว้เราไปขายเมือง
Yes, and they have different kind of markets. Who give the good rate, they go.
Ah, I see. They sort of shop around at the market. Are there any large mining operations here, big companies that want to put in a mine here?
เขาเจ้าก็มาซื้อเราอันนี้เขาเจ้าบ่ให้ลงเฮ็ด
Yeah, that is nearby.
And what does she think about that?
เพิ่นมาเฮ็ดมาอันนั้นเพื่อเฮามีรายได้นำเพิ่นหั่นน่ะ
Yeah, they are quite happy with because some parts of the job they give to the village as well. So local people can get some benefit from them as well.
Right. Seems like a great win-win. Okay, thank you very much. That was really interesting. Kapchai.
All of this is in stark contrast to what I witnessed in the Philippines, where gold seemed both scarcer and in far harder to reach locations, demanding far more dangerous work.
What's the worst thing that can happen?
Hindi mo siya nasa ilalim ka, hindi may drive yun, minsan nabagsak na lang.
Has that happened to you?
Hindi pa man.
No, never to you?
Never happened.
That's pretty lucky.
Here, gold mining embodies a life and death struggle. The pursuit of gold involves deep river dives where miners confront the ultimate risks for a chance at prosperity.
The clay under the first 2 meters is just hard enough to support the wall itself. At least that's the hope for the compressor miners. breathing through just a man-made hose that you're holding in between your teeth, and probably one of the dodgiest compressors I have ever seen in my life. Man, this is a scary ass job. Do you ever run into problems with the government here?
Hindi naman ah.
That's pretty good.
In this small town nestled on the coastline of Bicol region, gold mining has been a way of life for generations. The work is grueling and dangerous, and the rewards are often small. But for those who live here, the allure of striking it big, along with not having many other options, draws miners who risk their lives every day in the pursuit of a better future. While some gold mining in Paracale is done legally on private lands, the vast majority of it is conducted through illegal compressor mining on public lands. Small teams of miners armed with little more than shovels, bamboo-constructed mining shafts, and homemade dive compressors work tirelessly in the hopes of striking it rich. The pursuit of gold in Paracale is a stark reminder of the high costs of this precious metal, both in terms of human lives and the destruction of the environment.
The things that can go wrong is that the walls can collapse, the air can go out.
Hindi mo inaasahan kung anong pwede mangyari sa ilalim.
The process of mining gold in Paracale is a slow and painstaking one. Miners must first dig through layers of mud and gravel to reach the gold veins beneath. Then they must carefully extract the substrate using a combination of hand tools and small hand-cranked machinery. The work is backbreaking and the conditions are far from ideal.
What's the most gold you've ever got in one day?
10 grams.
10 grams. 10 grams is the most you ever got in one day. That seems really good. That's a lot of gold.
Once the correct substrate for gold is detected, divers will continue to excavate large amounts of it for further processing and panning.
So I was not expecting that at all. Essentially, we've sort of just placed the bamboo support cage in place, and this diver just descended into nothing. What I thought was just mud, and he's completely disappeared into, really, I thought it was like ankle deep water, but he must be quite a way down there already. So they're sort of, I guess, gonna dig out under the cage and then keep lowering it further and further and further as he goes down. At least that's what I think. Who knows?
This excavation work is done underwater, and each dive can last for more than 4 hours.
So behind me, one very daring young guy is deep underground with a hose in his mouth, basically filling up a sack full of dirt that could potentially contain gold. He stays underwater for up to 3 to 4 hours, and they rotate this around in shifts, going for, I don't know, all day, as long as there's daylight. The shirtless guy behind me is in charge of the driver's life. He's basically there to ensure that the air is running, that the compressor is fine, and that the line does not tangle. He then passes it on to the guy who is softening the dirt for further processing. He's basically just mashing it into the side of this barrel that they have there, and the idea behind that is to soften it up so that you can then pan it and check if there is gold in the dirt. There's definitely no filtering going on. I don't know what that thing must taste like. This is some scary kind of shit. I have to admit, nothing seems scarier to me. If you are claustrophobic at all, this would be an absolute nightmare job. Just watching it gives me shivers.
The conditions are dangerous as the mud walls can collapse at any time, burying the divers underground and underwater, completely cutting off their air supply.
Sa ano yan, minsan ay natapag yung balloon. Naguho.
Whoa, so that it just crumbles in around you. What happened? You just had to scramble?
Dead.
Dead. Oh my God, man. Oh. Deliberately digging away at the wall and floor that could collapse anytime, breathing through just a man-made hose that you're holding in between your teeth, and probably one of the dodgiest compressors I have ever seen in my life. These yellow sandbags are used to support the wall of the sandbank and just ensure that it doesn't collapse. Just supported by a bamboo frame for maybe 1.5 meters, 2 meters tops, and you just keep going down after that. The clay under the first 2 meters is just hard enough to support the wall itself. At least that's the hope for the guy underground with the tube in his mouth. Does the oxygen ever stop coming to you? Do you ever lose air?
No, wala siya.
Whoa. So hole number 1, kind of a dud. Hole number 2 has been begun. These guys work quick. I mean, this riverbank here is just filled with holes, empty holes, potholes that are empty now, that are kind of done. I think this is kind of the process. You sort of just work your way up the river, dig a hole, get some gold, you keep going. If you don't, you keep moving on. And so there you can kind of see why this is very controversial and probably why it's illegal. I mean, the destruction to an environment like this, it's crazy. These guys went through one hole in one morning and a brand new one now in the afternoon. And it's a little bit of a pity. This area is stunning in Paracale. We're sort of not that far from the beach, maybe 1 kilometer inland from the beach. It's a really, really pretty corner of the Philippines.
Despite the risks, the lure of gold continues to draw these miners to Paracale, and they work tirelessly to extract the precious metals from the earth.
How you doing, man? That kind of looks crazy. Is this kind of mining dangerous?
Delikado din.
How deep down do you go when you go down?
7 to 8 feet.
7 to 8 feet. How many people have you seen die?
Isa pa lang.
One. What's the feeling like when you're underwater? What's it feel like when you're trying to dig around?
Pag nasa ilalim ko kasi ng tubig, madilim yun. Hindi mo inaasahan kung anong pwede mangyari sa ilalim.
What does the air taste like? Isn't it weird breathing through a tube?
Oil.
It tastes like petrol.
Man. Are you always mining in an area like this, or are there other areas that you mine? You know, in a forest or at the ocean?
Marami din. Sa kuan. Minsan sa bundok, bitahan naman yun. Tapos, kuan din dun sa Malagit.
Who do you sell the gold to? How do you make the money out of this?
Doon sa financier namin, may financier kasi kami dito, yun na nakuha na sa amin ng ginto.
Anyway, thanks for the interview. I hope you get a really big score of gold one day.
Thanks.
As the men dive, older women and younger children pan the riverbeds downstream of the divers. They do this to look for flakes of gold, dredged up by the mining teams, but that have passed through undetected.
The lady behind me is doing the most basic form of gold mining you could, and that is essentially just digging up the riverbed and panhandling for gold. And to be honest, that's the one I'd go for. I wouldn't want to dive down into that claustrophobic hole. That sounds horrible.
As we film, one of the ladies and her daughter pans up a few flakes of gold.
We're just watching here, and this lovely old lady has finally managed to get some gold. I just think this is the coolest thing. She's been panning all day long, and it's just a few tiny specks of gold flake, and that's what they're out here for, you know, all day panning away, in some instances going down in incredibly dangerous holes, and now she's finally got some gold. How long did it take you to get this gold?
Mulang alas 7 hanggang ngayong lang, tanghali.
How much is this gold worth?
Mga 300, ay wala naman itong 300.
100 to 300 pesos. Congratulations, thank you very much. I'm really happy for you. It's cool to see this working out. The gold that the old lady got, 300 pesos, is maybe about $5. I imagine if she gets that in one day, $5 a day, best case scenario, $10 a day. I don't know, it's not a lot, but that kind of money here can go a long way.
It's a small but tangible reward for their labor, and I'm eager to see how she processes it further at her camp nearby.
So as the final part of the process, the gold is going to be mixed with mercury somehow, and I think that's just going to cause all of the different fragments or flakes of gold to come together into one block that they can sell. So there you have it, guys, 1/4 of a gram of Paracale gold for one day's work. It's a tough life, but this is some fascinating stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you liked this episode, please subscribe. Fascinating episodes coming soon. Thanks for watching.